So good morning, everybody. It was really good seeing some of you really early this morning. Deeply appreciative. And can I just start by expressing apologies to our people online who was hoping to join us for a virtual walk, a guided one. There was a bit of a miscommunication. We were supposed to send you a video that had the route on it, and we didn't. So just apologies. Still appreciate that you are here, though. Um, so just opening, Nadia and Chloe and myself have been doing a bit of work on motion and movement, and just invited a couple of people into the process. The process, in short, is a little bit of a methodology where we take a question on a walk or a run with us. So, and that question, as we are complex beings, we keep on bumping into thoughts and feelings and things outside of us or inside of us that try to override the question, that demand attention, a much more attention than we wanted to give that, and then we forget the question. So this process was a bit of a guided walk where we each identified a question, or not, which is okay, and then just started to build the process around that question. So first of all, building the ability to memorize the question, and then spending a bit of time going, well, can I keep hold of the question? And then identifying what gets in the way, and then a little process of putting whatever gets in the way into brackets and slightly just moving it to the side. So some of us did a physical gesture of making brackets. Some of us could imagine them. I love it. There we go. Go-to bracket. And that's the process. So maybe if we could just do a bit of collective sense making and reflection on how the process was for each of us, so that the three of us don't speak all the time, but the people who actually did the reflecting. Who wants to have a go? Just reflecting. I thought that was a hand going up there. Anyone? Anyone?
Can't see me, I think.
I'll move. It's okay.
Is that okay? Hi, I'm Mia, PhD student at University of Edinburgh. I started with a really big question because I come from a tradition of Zen Buddhist meditation, which is so similar to what you do. You have a question, you hold it lightly, you stop holding it, is it still there? What's stopping you from accessing it? All the same stuff. And so I got this huge question, what do I want in my whole life kind of thing? Basically, what do I want? And I thought the first answer was, I want belonging. More than anything, I want belonging, more than happiness, more than beauty, more than anything, even more than health, touch wood. But then as we started walking quite quickly into it, the question got smaller and smaller and much more manageable. And you asked, what do you need as well, in order to ask a question. And for me, what I needed was movement in order to ask the question. And just realizing what I needed versus what I wanted made me sort of tune into what was really there, which was like the scent of the grass and the grass meeting my feet almost. So I thought, what I want is the scent of grass. What I want is the grass meeting my feet. And it was just so comforting to forget about the big existential question, and just get into the movement of things. And I really need that movement. So thank you.
Thank you.
Can I go next? I had a big question to begin with as well. I'm Shona, by the way. I'm also a PhD student at the University of Birmingham. And my big question, because I'm writing up, I've handed in my 3 months notice to submit, but I've still got to do the literature review again, because I did it before, but that was 3 years ago. What do I want the literature review to say? But then in the end, I got to the point of what do I want to say? And the literature review holds all these expectations and demands, and they're other people's expectations and demands. But yeah, I thought what was missing was me. I was bracketing me out.
Thank you for sharing that. Thanks so much for sharing that. Anyone else want to go?
Hi, good morning. I'm Naoki Yamada from Kansai University, Japan. First, initial question is, do I have to presentation today? I have three presentations today, and I have much worry about that because I'm still learning English, and every time I speak English, I can't describe my thought, my will, and I just pick up the words, but it's not fit every single time. And during walking, I kept thinking about my situation, and do I understand this walk joint session or something? But during walking, I feel sometimes fear because suspension bridge is very high, and at that feeling, I forget that question and something, and renew my image. And after that walking, I feel very good and more, I think more comfortable here. Uh, but this expression also, I couldn't express whole my image, but keeping uh, thinking and will is very good, and I feel slightly more. I want to involve this group community. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
So my reflection is that first of all, like this is very like first time experiencing of like keep the question in my mind, like always keeping in my mind because I love walking, but I always look at the detail thing. For example, the type of plants or like what the landscape is or the architecture. But like in this walking time, I missed a lot the detail thing. But like indeed like I, I I could look at me, not the outside of me, like me. That is very good time for me in the walking time. Maybe Ellie wants.
Hi, I'm Ali. Um, I really loved the bracketing structure. I think I I run and walk a lot, and my mind can just go and go and go and go, and it can go off on all these different paths, which are sometimes helpful, but I struggle to like focus on one thing. So for me, the act of the image of bracketing and just the word of it, like it, the way the word is enacted, it helped me to focus on a question that I had after my presentation yesterday, and helped me to actually kind of get somewhere with that question instead of just like going off on tangents all the time. So I really enjoyed it. And I think for me, yeah, structure helps my focus. So I enjoyed the like guided aspect of it. Yeah.
So, Nadia, do you want to share a thing? Don't have to. If you can.
Okay. For me, I tried to formulate a question, but I had a lot of distraction in my mind, like about the conference and so. Sort of then I tried to bracket them and just enjoyed walking. I did not think about my question anymore. So this happens to me a lot when I'm running. Sometimes I just phase out. Nothing. There's nothing in my mind. I just run. So that for me is the best type of running there is. And sometimes when there's negative chatter, like sort of I bracket them. Like yesterday, I told you I put them in a box and close and close it with a lock and key. And that's how I get to enjoy, because that's precious time for me only. I don't want anyone else in my mind. Like the only person in my mind is me, and me or nothing. So today it was really nice, and talking with I sorry, I forgot your name. um, um, and sharing the time with participants. I think this is a great idea, to continue doing this every year. What do you think?
So, for the spot at all. So, let me bracket that. So I reflected with Chloe that my question was more around, will I be back at the conference when I started? That was the question, and somehow it kind of emerged last night, going, "Ooh, will I be back in person here?" Because there's family and life, as you know, and somehow that question changed while we were walking and just paying attention, and especially as we entered the nature bit, I started asking the question, oh, can this movement thing be an annual thing? Yeah, so that's just where the question went. So I might have to explore that, because in my experience, this is my process, right? This is part of my methodology, and it felt completely different trying to guide other people in it. So that's an area for growth for me, maybe, is what does the guiding do? How does that work? How do I know it works? How do I know people will show up? Like all of those epistemic questions. And it's, yeah, it did a thing with me. So it's, yeah, thankful. You want to share something?
Okay, thank you very much. The thing that really struck me with this was approaching it with kindness, and being kind to yourself while trying to bracket and trying to kind of keep these things in mind. And I think sometimes when we're deep in a research process and trying to work out, what our lit review might look like, or how will my methodology chapter pan out, it can be really easy to get bogged down in the detail and go, it should look like this, it should look like that, I want it to be this. But actually this gives you space to go, okay, well, maybe that won't work for me. Can I explore that? What will work? So I think it's really important with this to just remind yourself that, if you go out on a walk, we were beautifully led by Niel, who kept saying, if that doesn't work, that doesn't matter. And that was an incredibly helpful reminder for me when I'm going, think of the question, what's your question? You must have something to say when we get back. But actually that's okay. We don't all know the answers all the time, do we? Exactly. So having that reminder of, we don't need to do things overnight. It doesn't need to be an immediate, okay, well, I know the answers now. Giving yourself space to start that process and to start thinking is incredibly useful. So even if you do take your question on a walk or run or wherever you want to be, you don't have to find the answers, and that is absolutely fine. So yes, maybe more of a gentle reminder from me than an observation, but yeah, exactly, it's all okay. We'll work it out eventually, and if we don't, also fine. So, thank you.
Oh, did you need to? No, I was just going to for questions, but
Yeah, just briefly, when you were talking, it struck me that the answer to the question is the question itself. So the question contains the answer, and the answer is that we don't know. And so all you have to do is ride the question like a freaking horse or something, and just keep going with that process, and that is your answer in itself. That's all.
I was just then thinking maybe we should do some horseback riding next year. Just like ride the question. So, just conscious of time, can I open up to questions, people who've heard us speak? Let me bring this over.
A comment to make, I guess, about the literature review. I've never liked the term literature review. It implies it's sort of, I've reviewed it, here it is. There you go, over to you. Where it isn't really. It's a creative, curated wisdom thus far. Wisdom? Thus far. That's how I prefer to think of it, is it is a creative curation of collective wisdom thus far. It is not a literature review. It's not, here's some documents, I've reviewed them and I've written stuff down. Yeah, it's not helpful. It's not a helpful phrase, but you can't change them.
Thank you. Would you like to respond to that?
Yes, exactly.
Well, any other questions online, comments, or in here?
Yeah, it's fascinating, really great. And I'm sorry I missed the walk, my mind was elsewhere. But no, it's really interesting. I think, so about 10 years ago, I was diagnosed with psoriatic arthritis, and which has gradually sort of been impinging more and more in my life. And so over the last, especially over the last 2 or 3 years, I've realized that I really need to keep moving all the time. That's one of the things. I can't stay in one place for too long. So, which particularly includes sitting at a computer. It's like the worst possible thing. So I increasingly am reconfiguring my life sort of in movement, which is also quite helpful in terms of thinking. My thinking also has moved to more kind of processual kind of thinking as well. And yeah, some rivers of, metaphors of rivers and things like that. But the question that I had was if, so I've been reading quite a lot about consciousness recently as well, and about how the question, as you were kind of phrasing it, is coming into that sort of, light of consciousness in a sense. But the reading that I've been doing is really an understanding of consciousness as being much larger than what we are paying attention to at any 1 minute. And that a question can move from that light of consciousness into other realms of the subconscious or unconscious or whatever. But actually, your larger consciousness is still working on that question, even if you're not paying attention to it or conscious of it. So I was just wondering how that understanding, if that kind of fits with any of the kind of methodology that you're using, or how that kind of fits really. I know,
That is a super, super question to which I don't have an answer. So, I haven't thought about that. What did I think about that? So, I will just maybe to add to that in a different way is I have found that the patterns in life will keep on happening until I tend to the thing that makes the pattern happen. The same with the questions is those questions keep on popping up until I tend to them sufficiently, even if it's questions that I've answered before or tended to before. If the question isn't done with me, it will keep on coming into my mind. So on a run. So it's not linked to that, but that's just where my process. And
it's easily answered. Like they don't have an answer. Sometimes there's that shift in your own consciousness that allows you to find a solution to a question, but might not be the answer to the original question. So anyway, it's interesting.
Love it. Thank you. Anyone else? I'm just conscious of time and I don't know how long we've got left.
1 minute.
Anyone?
Oh yes, Akil.
I'm a psychotherapist, and there's this a whole lot of writing about emotional self states, and sometimes you can get stuck in an emotional state where you're very concerned with something from one part of you. And I often say to clients, if you shift your body, you shift your state. And sometimes that happens, and then you'll find yourself having a different angle or being able to relate in a different sort of way, because if you move your body, you're kind of moving what is held in your body that represents a particular emotional state. So it's kind of like shifting a traumatized embodiment when you move. So,
Love that reflection. Love it. Thank you.
Akil online had a...
Go Akil.
Thank you, thank you. The talk is so lovely, and I was just having a question in my head. A simple paradox of like you connecting to perhaps the scenery, or like you're walking there and you're connecting to many things around you, but many of you were mentioning about you're talking inside, or you're just facing yourself. You're connecting to yourself that is not the outside self, it's the inside self. You're connected to your true self when you're walking, but you're walking. So like, I was just wondering this paradox that you're connected to the outer world while your inner mind is really connected to your true self. Like, where are you really connected to? Was my question.
Well, again, no answer. I mean, I read an article earlier in the week where someone spoke about we are in a simulation. So I don't even know if we are real. It's kind of are we real should be the question. So, but to say that, I think having run a lot, I'm always connected to multiples. So I just then in the woodland we just entered this morning, I was reminded of a place where I ran in South Africa that had similar growth on the floor. So it's a bit like connected everywhere where you've been in your life and connected to the places where you will be. So it's a bit of a future state. So I don't know how much of me is left there. All I know is that I am what my awareness is currently, if that makes sense, within my awareness, and so much more. There's this thing of, the sum of its parts. It's more than the sum of the parts, and I think us as people are like that too. So that's a big question. Maybe take that one on a walk, Akil, and let us know the answer.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
All
Thank
good.
you.
Thank you, everybody. Really appreciate it. Thank you.